Welcome to Live from HCIC 2023, a podcast series bringing you front row insights from the industry's brightest minds. In this 12-part series, we delve into the heart of the trends impacting health systems with leading experts, senior executives, and thought leaders, as recorded live at the Healthcare Internet Conference in November of 2023. This series is brought to you by Greystone, Bowstring Media, and Touchpoint Media. Listen in as we hear from our industry leaders on the latest innovative strategies and efforts that are shaping our space. I'm here with David Feinberg.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to Live at HCIC. Don't mind.
We're at HCIC and we're live.
We're live, yeah. And this is the Expo Hall. There's a lot of background noise. Don't worry about it.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad.
Great to be here.
You've been threatening to be on a podcast with me. I'm glad we're here now together.
Oh, you threatened me so much I couldn't say no. Oh, there you go.
Well, you know, there are people that are watching or listening and they may not know a little bit about you. It's a shame if they don't. But would you mind sharing a little bit about your background for me?
Well, sure. I've been in healthcare. I've been in marketing for over 40 years. I've been in healthcare for most of that. And I've been in a number of major institutions. So I was almost 20 years at New York Presbyterian. And then after that, I had a couple of years stint up at Dana-Farber in Boston. And then I just celebrated my 5th year anniversary at Mount Sinai as head of marketing communications there. And I just love this area, love this field, because you never have to worry about waking up and knowing if you're doing something that's helping people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of.
I mean, that sounds so.
I know.
Goody, and I'm not that goody, but it really is something that's very important.
Well, you know, here at HCIC, you presented earlier today about social media and how to use social media to build trust. I want to talk about that a little bit with you today, and let's first start out with this. I think that this year, 2023, when we're recording this, social media has been a hot mess.
Yeah.
And you know, you and I, before we started recording, we were kind of going back as like the history of like social.
We got history on.
We got some history around this.
Yeah.
Why don't you share a little bit about your perspective on social media? Let's start with what happened in the past.
Well, let me start
up to speed.
Yeah, where this started. So I'm going to say, I don't know exactly when. It's probably 15 years ago. I said 10 years this morning, but then we showed a social media timeline. Social media is about 20 years old when you go back to the origins of MySpace, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say it was 15 years ago. I come back from one of these conferences. And the way I like to think about it, like this conference, the hot topic is AI. Mm-hmm. Well, for that HCIC, the hot topic was social media. Mm-hmm. Everybody's talking about it. I'm getting there, I'm learning about it, and I come back and I go, wow, this is great. This has such great potential. And I was under the delusion that as vice president of marketing at my prior organization, I could make the decision that we would go ahead and do social media. Mm-hmm. So I come back and I get my team together. I said, we're going to organize around this. We're going to start doing it. We're going to talk to people like you who know what they're doing. And we're going to try to figure this out, right? And so I announced it, and then I pulled a team together of other people we'd have to work with to make this happen. And I started saying, hey, we're here together. I just came back from this conference, and social media is going to be a really important factor as we move forward in marketing and communication. And I want to talk about us getting involved with social media. No sooner do I say that, and I say, excuse me, I hear this voice in the room. It's the lawyer. And somebody I have a good relationship with, not a bad guy. He says, I'm here speaking on behalf of the CLO, Chief Legal Officer, to inform you that this cannot move forward. And I'm going, well, what do you mean? He said, we in the legal department do not believe that we can move forward on this with an acceptable level of risk. So we're shutting it down. And so, first of all, I didn't appreciate the interpersonals of that. Like you could drop a dime, right?
Right.
Let
me know beforehand.
Cancel the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
But that they wanted to make a statement to a large group within the organization that we're not going to go there. Mm-hmm. And I think it builds, fast forward to today, it builds to a complete lack of understanding and ignorance about what social media is, what it does. It's just fear. Like, oh my God, we're going to put stories out there and we're not going to be able to know what people are going to say about it, and how we're going to manage it, and et cetera, et cetera. And all those fears overwhelmed their sense of, well, they did, to be candid. And I love lawyers. We get along great. We do great work together. I have tremendous respect for them. But at that point, it was all about stopping the risk as opposed to taking advantage of the opportunity.
But then social media got adopted, right? Yeah. I mean, and we went through that. We're the front lines, right?
Yeah.
Trying to make this happen.
Yeah.
And then everybody had a social media account. They had multiple social media accounts. Facebook, Twitter, when it was Twitter, not what it is today. And, and
What do we
LinkedIn
call it?
presence.
It's Twix? It's Twitter X?
Yeah, something. Yeah, exactly. Twitter X. But I mean, we all went down that path and we all started to accept it and we shifted our communication strategies. We started to use it in a really, I think, in a robust, healthy way.
Yeah.
Right?
And you were a pioneer in that.
Well, I mean, I think we all saw the potential of this new medium being able to communicate. But then, over the last couple of years, it's like we've almost had a little bit of a backlash, right? First of all, think about like the metapixel, right? The Facebook pixel thing, which is a big security risk issue. And OCR came out and said, don't use it. We also had, this whole conversation around like, well, we don't own social media anymore. How do we know what they're doing with their data and our people and all this other stuff? And then, of course, the Twitter X debacle that became what it is. I think a lot of people are still kind of like wondering, are we at a nexus point with social media? And it's interesting that you presented today about using social media to build trust. Yeah. So I'd like to hear, your perspective and your organization's perspective on how we do that.
Well, we were talking about two kinds of trust. One was internal trust. How do we get the leadership and the people who within the organization who we want to engage with to trust that we're doing the right thing with social media? So that's one part of it. The second part is trust with patients. And how do we use it as a vehicle to establish relationships and understanding among the people we're trying to reach so that they trust us? Right. So it's really both of those. And on the internal side, it's really showing the value and showing that we can be responsible for it and that we can do it in a way that forwards our mission of really providing better healthcare to patients and finding patients to make sure that they get the healthcare they need with us or elsewhere. So one example was during COVID, we really flooded social media with accurate content about what was going on, right? So that we knew we could counter all the stuff that was happening, all the misinformation. We said, look, we know what we're doing. We've got great people who are experts in this area. Here's the information. We had the levels of engagement we had never seen.
Yeah,
because people were starving for a source that knew what the heck they were talking about.
Right.
So that really created a trust that if you want, and we were one of the we measure these things. Right. We were one of the highest engaged social media sources in the country of any, right? Because we were putting the good stuff out there. So that creates trust with your market, with your patients, with the people you're targeting. And then internally, we showed them that, and they said, wow, this is great. This is a way for us to really forward what we're trying to do. So social media, rather than as this, mess, as you said, it is to a certain extent. Yeah. But if you stick to your knitting and you use it in a way that is consistent and strategic, it still can do great things for you. And, we try to stay out of the fray. Now, is that going to pull it down? Is it going to become a mess? Are they going to overregulate it? I don't have a crystal ball. Who knows? Right. But in the meantime, we're sticking to what we want to do with it, putting excellent content out to people who engage with social media and helping them get the healthcare and understand the
right, and authoritative content, right? You're the source of truth. You've convened that conversation around authoritative healthcare content. I mean, you can go to social media and get anything about whatever you want, right? From your aunt or your uncle or whomever, but you want to turn to the source for that information. And that's one of the promises of social media way back when that is still there today. And you could do it also in a very rapid cycle.
Right.
The pandemic showed that, right?
Right.
Because in New York, you were the epicenter.
Of the epicenter.
Yeah, right. You were, it was, and every day people were wondering what's going on. They wanted to be fed that information. And you and I both know how hard it is to go through an official press release. Even putting up a blog post takes a lot longer than if you do a really quick post on like Facebook and Twitter X or whatever they're calling it now, right? I mean, it's so much easier to use social to get immediately in people's in inboxes, so to speak, or on their screens.
Right.
Now, I'm wondering though, the other thing I think about social media is really fascinating that we're starting to hear, like as I talk to internal people, this is a great way to talk to your own employees.
Yeah.
Because they're typically the ones that follow you on social media and they're advocates. How do you guys approach that?
Well, it's a great point. And frankly, we're not as well developed in that area as we should be. Mm-hmm. We did just launch a new platform called Mount Sinai Daily, which is a direct app where I can pull out and we talk to people. So it's a social media kind of vehicle to use to talk to employees. And we launched it about a year ago. And we already have about 15,000 employees. We have 45,000 employees in total. We have 15,000 on it already. So we're using, instead of going out to the general social media employees, we got this app and we've developed it. It's from a company called First Up. Just give credit where credit's due. And we've created our own version of it, and it's become kind of the the hometown newspaper, if you will, the digital hometown newspaper for Mount Sinai. So that's kind of how we've decided to refer.
It's almost like a closed social network. Yeah. Think about it, right? Because it does have content that you can share with your employees, protected, right? They can comment on it. They can you can engage with them through it, right? It's all of those things. And I think that's the nature of, like, when I saw social media, when we saw it many years ago, we realized that's what it can bring into play right here, is this new way to communicate with people that kind of lowers the barriers between us. You don't have to go to your intranet anymore. Now you can talk to them in this way or what have you.
The other thing we've done, and this is, I got to give credit to my team, Chloe Politis, who's our director of social media. She's brilliant. John Davey, who's my head of digital marketing, also brilliant. So one of the things one of my tricks in my career, I've been in this a long time, is hire great people and let them do it. Yeah. And I don't understand half of what they do. I don't have to. As long as I've got trusted people who are doing it, that's great. So part of it is that. And part of it is we've been trying to socialize social media, if you will, around the institution. So we have a social media ambassadors program where we train people to do their own social media, and then we let them do it.
Oh, wow.
And that's a little bold, but it's worked out great. And we started out wanting, we had 15 clinical areas we identified, and we wanted one person per each, which is 15 people. We now have 350 engaged professionals, nurses, physicians, PA, whatever, who are doing their own social media on behalf of Mount Sinai. It's not their personal social media. It's Mount Sinai social media. And because, these are smart people.
Right.
And if you explain the basic rules of the road, they can do great stuff. And again, our engagement has just exploded. And also, it makes them feel that they're engaged and involved with what's going on.
Because again, it brings them a lot closer to the patient.
Right.
I can also see from a clinical perspective, it's a good peer-to-peer way also to establish kind of your authority and your credence, right, in the space.
And also, you don't get the, hey, I want you to do I want you to do a post for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't be a service. You can't provide service. We have 7,000 doctors. Okay. Yeah. Now they all don't want to be on social media.
Right.
But we're up to 350 or whatever. You can't service them. You'd have to have a department of, we've got 4 people in social media. So you have to empower them if you're going to make it work, and you have to trust that they're going to do and say the right things. And we say, this is what we want to talk about. And if something's controversial, say, hey, this is controversial. This is what I think about it.
Right.
We also we're Icahn School of Medicine, so we value the freedom, the intellectual freedom that the researchers and teachers should have. Right. Academic freedom is part of our values. So sure, say what you're going to say as long as it's makes sense. You've got a scientific basis for it, and then we monitor it. And if something goes a little off the rails, we have a discussion. But so far, really, it's been great.
I think that's really incredible to think about, right? And I know so many organizations, they get a little bit squeamish about saying,
fair.
Let's let our clinical teams loose.
How can we just let them say anything?
Exactly.
And the answer is, guess what? They're doing it anyway.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what they're saying to their patients in the office? No, of course you don't. But you trust them. Mm-hmm. I mean, after all, they're faculty of Mount Sinai. They didn't get there on their good looks. They got there because they're qualified. And therefore, we feel it's okay to let them speak in the social space. More than okay, it's positive.
It's positive. It's encouraged. It's a great way for them to connect. And, the other thing I know about, social media is it does have a problem with misinformation, medical misinformation.
Right.
This is also another way to amplify authoritative information on behalf of Mount Sinai to your community that's authoritative.
Right.
And it kind of combats this thing. There's no way, the social media companies have given up on monitoring misinformation.
Yeah.
They just can't do it anymore.
I think the answer to misinformation is good information.
Yeah.
You have to try to put the right stuff out there from sources that people trust. Mm-hmm. And that's going to drown out, not completely. Look, you're not going to do away with misinformation. You're not going to do away with people who have their own points of view about this or that or the next thing in medicine. Okay. And that, by the way, that's not new. The only thing that's different now is scale and visibility.
Yeah.
These types of rumors and things have gone on, forever,
Right.
As long as you can think of time, right?
Right.
So now you're seeing it and people are, oh my God, people are saying these things about that and it's completely wrong. And who are these people and how can they speak on this? And the answer is put your own information out from somebody who can speak with authority and with knowledge. And by doing so, we think the good is going to outweigh the bad. Recognizing that you're never going to get rid of all the bad information.
Right.
It's not possible.
I mean, before social media, they were just talking about it at cocktail parties, right? So, and at least in this case, you can do some monitoring and you can help to intervene. You can even do measurement and see what the bad conversations are,
right?
And shift your outreach and your communications to support that misinformation.
Exactly.
Right. I think it's incredible. Now, this kind of openness towards social media, right? It kind of grew over time.
Yeah.
You were there at the onset. We're in a nexus point now for new technology coming out forward. And I know we were talking about social media, but I'm going to pivot.
Of course you are. Well, because that is the hot topic.
That is the hot topic. And it happens to be in the name of your company, right?
Yes. I know. AI. That's right. We're so into AI, it's in our name.
Exactly. So, but I mean, AI, it's a similar thing, right? These are new tools that a lot of people are like saying, well, how are we going to approach it? So tell me a little bit about how you, as from a marketing communications perspective, as you're leading your team to approach any kind of new tools that are coming by.
Well, it's the same kind of adoption curve idea, right? It's this new brand kind of bright, shiny object. Mm-hmm. And we look at it, and one of the things I always, and again, this is John Davey, who actually, he presented on it this morning about the integration of AI. And there's so many things that we're doing, but the essence of it is not AI per se, but what can AI do to help us do what we want to do in terms of getting the message? To think of it strategically as opposed to, it's this whatever, right? And so, for example, we're using a lot of generative AI to do things like take the doctor information and create the profile. All right. So that's, not rocket science. We're not the only ones doing it. Mm-hmm. But then when AI writes the profile, somebody reads it.
Yeah.
So we're not just taking AI and letting it do it. We're taking AI to make it so much easier for, 7,000 doctors. And it used to be the doctor would write their own profile, so you'd edit it. Yeah, because you can't write them all, right? Mm-hmm. And they'd be of varying quality. Well, we know. So, for example, one of the things we learned is when it's in the first person, it gets a lot more engagement. Mm-hmm. So we write them in the first person. Okay, fine. We put a video in also that helps. But we use AI to pull all that together and come up with a first draft. And then that makes, instead of being able to do, I don't know what the numbers are. Instead maybe to do 3 a day, you can do 30 a day because you're editing, you're not creating.
Right.
And that way, and also enables you to keep it up to date. Also, a new piece of information comes, AI can read it and spit out an updated profile, or for new faculty. It makes it just, so I think that's a great use of AI. Right. Other things you have to be careful. Like another thing is we're using it to create initial images. So let's say you want an image to show that, and it'll pull something together. Now, a lot of issues there, right?
Right.
It gets you started, and then it could be good enough to make a presentation to say, we're going to do a program about this. Here's sort of what it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the final topic will be different, but it gives you a first cut, and it can do it like that, as opposed to having an art director and all this stuff. And none of those people are going to. I think it will replace some people, to be candid, but I think a lot of people will just change the nature of their work to adapt to being able to work with AI as a tool, just like the computer was a tool,
right?
And the internet's a tool. AI is just another tool to help us do what it is we want to do. And if you look at it that way, it's great. If you think of it as Skynet, you're going to lose your mind, right? So fine, that's somebody else's problem. That's not our problem.
Well, yeah.
I mean, our problem.
You're indeed right. But what you're doing is you're building those guardrails around these tools and technology. It's not a closed. You're not like the lawyer at the very beginning that says we're not doing social media.
Right.
You're saying
so that was ever possible.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it'd be like we're not doing AI. Right. Well, guess what? We're already doing it.
It's already being done. Yeah. Right. So whether you want to block it or not, it's already being done. We might as well embrace it. And that's the thing, right? It's kind of shifting your mindset, as these are productivity tools. These are tools to help amplify the timeless traditional things that we need to do, which is learn how to communicate better with all of our stakeholders, our employees, our physicians, our audiences, our patients, potential patients, and also, in effect, encourage them to take action, i.e. marketing, right? Encourage them to find the right way to select the care that they need or find the right doctor. We need to do these things, right, in a way that amplifies the core tenet of when you came into the space 40 years ago, when there was no social media and there was no AI. Well, AI was around, but not really, right? At that point in time, you're reinforcing the age-old standards of good content, authoritative, with guardrails and guidelines to re-amplify your brand.
Absolutely. And then the other part of it, another part of it is, let's say you got a writer and you say, we want to do physician profiles, right? And that's not exactly the height of, it's not Ernest Hemingway, right? And it's like, you got somebody who's capable of much better, but they're wasting their time doing physician profiles. Okay, time out. Let AI do the first cut. Then they can edit. And that frees them up to do the kind of writing that's much more difficult, much more involved, and much more important on what's going on in the institution, what our medical breakthroughs are, what new thinking is on this, that, or the next thing. That's what we want our writers to be thinking about, not doing the mundane of a physician profile. Let's automate that as much as we can and use it as a tool to improve outcomes. In this case, outcome, not a medical outcome, but the outcome of something as simple as a profile, and free writers up to do things that are much more interesting, engaging, and creative than doing a physician profile.
So not only does it help build trust, it lets them operate at the top of their license.
Well done. Yeah,
that's great.
Making the most use of all the brain power that they have.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, David, I'm glad that you finally heeded my threats and you got onto this podcast. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for your time.
Happy to do it. Terrific. Take care.
Thank you for watching live from HCIC 2023. We hope these insights have sparked new ideas and conversations. A special thanks to the industry experts featured on our show, and to Greystone, Bowstring Media, and Touchpoint Media for making these discussions available. For more episodes and exclusive content, please visit Greystone.Net, Touchpoint.Health, or subscribe through your favorite podcast listening platform. If you want to be part of more conversations like this one, please make sure to attend the Healthcare Internet Conference in Austin, Texas. You can find more details at hcic.net.